This is Erica Synths Perkons HD-01. It is one of the hardest hitting drum machines in recent years, combining both digital and analog signal paths with a non-per-function interface and a unique dedicated sequencer per voice layout. There are already tons of extensive 40-minute technical reviews of this thing out there, so today I want to show you something different. After having gotten to know it for about 4 months, what I found here is a machine that, beyond its heavy industrial tendencies, has way more soul and range than I initially thought. And in this video, I want to share my experience with the Perkons, both the good and the bad, beyond the spec sheet and from a regular user's perspective. Full disclosure, Erica Synths sent me Perkons for review, but no money changed hands, they have no say in my opinions here, and they don't get to watch this video before you do. If you're already subscribed, huge welcome back, my friend. If this is your first time here, hi, welcome to the Midlife Synthesist. Let's get started. The first thing that you'll notice when you look at a Perkons is the sheer amount of knobs and buttons on the front panel. You think you're looking at an airplane cockpit, and naturally, you might assume that it will be pretty hard to understand and maneuver, but thankfully, you'd be mistaken. See, what you're looking at here are 4 voices with the same exact control layout for each one, plus a master delay, compression, and LFO section. The layout itself is very logical. The top 2 knobs are tune and decay. Below them, you get 2 parameter knobs that will behave differently depending on what algorithm or mode is currently selected from one of the 3 switch positions. After that, you get a multi-mode analog filter and a drive. Finally, an effect send to either an external loop or the internal bucket brigade delay, as well as that voice's level. Now, although everything is very clearly labeled, I'd be lying if I told you that I really look at the labels that much when I'm performing on this thing. See, the beauty of having literally every single parameter available to you at the twist of a knob is that the Perkons isn't really meant for you to get too technical, even though technically you can. Instead, it asks you to just start tweaking away and let your ears and your instincts drive you. It's an experimental playground, and putting too much thought into what's going on actually takes away from the visceral experience that the Perkons can offer. By far, the best moments with the Perkons are those of spontaneous discovery and getting deeply lost in the sauce. It feels like it was designed in a way that makes it safe and fun to just stumble around with your eyes closed, ears open, and let the rhythm and music take you for a ride. And that brings me to the other main element on the faceplate, the sequencers. Usually, the step sequencer on most synths and samplers consists of a sad singular row of 16 buttons, but you never really have access to 2 tracks of sequencers at once. Not so here, not in the Perkons. Here, you have immediate hands-on access to every step being played at all times. That means that the sequencers are as much part of the composition and live show improv component as the knobs above them. I can't stress enough how much this is an integral part of what makes the Perkons stand out amongst the competition, and just how powerful and immediate it feels to be able to edit 2 or more sequencers at the same time live. It changes the way you move around the device and even the way you think when you're playing it, resulting in more dynamic and fluid beats. You can also change individual pattern lengths, playback mode, time divisions, chain patterns, and parameter lock individual steps in a very Elektron kind of way. It also means having different sounds, retrigger, probability and such available on a per step basis. That's pretty good. So I'm going to press rec. In one of its later firmware updates, Perkons gained the ability to play its 4 voices chromatically, which now makes the Perkons feel closer in spirit to an analog 4 than just a drum machine. By hooking up an external keyboard, you can program in melodies, either step by step or live. This is especially useful since voice 1 and 2 can act as really deep bass drums, and voice 3 has a carpless strong mode that is absolutely breathtaking. And of course, since each voice has individual outputs and inputs, you can even process it with an effects pedal separately to add some beautiful reverb, for example, and send it then back into the Perkons main mixer. Nice. And now I've freed up voice number 4. I'm gonna do some arpeggiating here. Is a bed of roses, however, and there are two main issues that limit this functionality in a big way, at least in my opinion. The first is that you will absolutely need an external keyboard to effectively play notes. You can't do that using the keys on the Perkons itself. Now, it is a shame because one thing that the Perkons is definitely not short on is buttons, and I would think that it should be possible via firmware update to implement a keyboard mode like the one you get on the Octatrack or Digable to facilitate programming melodies or even playing them in live. You can very much sequence different notes on the same lane by parameter locking the tune knob in different steps, but it's not really practical because of the Perkons' second major limitation, which is that you can't preview program steps, at least as of the filming of this video. That means that the only way of currently knowing how a step will sound is actually just letting the entire sequence play and wait for it to trigger. I remember when the Octatrack had this limitation back in the day, and when they added that step preview in there, the workflow difference was dramatic. So I really do hope that Erica Synths adds this functionality at some point in a firmware update. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, I would like to address what, to me, is the main attraction of this big boy. The sounds, or should I say, the performative sound design that the Perkons offers. This is not, or more accurately, should not be a set and forget kind of device regarding sound. You can of course just load up your favorite kit and pattern and have it as a backing track drummer, but you should know that the Perkons was made to be a frontman, not a backup singer. As such, the Perkons truly shines when it has your full attention and you start tweaking it as much as you can while the sequence is running its course. It is as much an instrument as a guitar in the sense that it was meant to be played with, and it deserves to be a main attraction in your live show instead of just filler. This is made obvious in how easily you can access the available modulations per voice. For each voice, you get modulation lanes which affect any of the 8 parameters of each voice. But it doesn't end there. You also have tempo multipliers and dividers per lane, as well as 4 available groove settings to further humanize your beats and make them more dynamic. The range of sounds that you can sculpt out of the Perkons is truly massive, covering everything from punchy kicks to deep bass, beefy plucks, and beautiful all-encompassing drones. And if you do grow tired of the factory samples, it might be good to point out that in a recent firmware update, the ability to load your own samples into Voice 4 was also added. As far as how the Perkon stands amongst its peers, it is tricky to compare it to the competition because in a way, it's unlike any other drum machine. A direct competitor might be the Analog Rhythm, but they're so different that it really does feel like comparing apples and oranges. I will say though that where the Rhythm wins in sheer horsepower and versatility, the Perkons wins in its extremely focused nature and deceptive simplicity. When all is said and done, the Perkons is a unique and inspiring instrument. It was designed with live performance in mind, with a focus on power and versatility, tamed by well-thought-out limitations. It packs a sonic punch like few other drum machines out there, and it's easy to see why it caused such an impact when it landed on the scene. The best way I can describe a Perkons is that it's like hopping into a time machine. Once you start making beats on it, you won't even notice it, and hours have gone by. If you're still here and you've enjoyed this video, please remember you can always support my channel with something as simple as using my affiliate links down below to buy your own gear, clicking that like button, or leaving me a comment, even if it's just to say hi. If you'd like access to my original music, my multi-sample instruments, and the most awesome Discord on the face of this earth, head over to my Patreon. Everyone is welcome there. If you'd like to see me using the Perkons as 4 mono synths instead of a drum machine along with the OPXY, be sure to check out this video right here. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video useful, or at least entertaining. Have a great week. See you next time.